Babies will be born to heroin-addicted mothers. Courts will take children from addicted parents. Taxpayers will spend heavily to lock up drug users. People will overdose in gas stations and parks and school parking lots. It's the first day of another week of the heroin epidemic. Over the next 7 days in Greater Cincinnati, at least 180 people will overdose. 18 will die. This is normal now. This is a typical week.
$5,010% possession of drugs charged.
Here's Courtroom A in Hamilton County. It's the first stop for those arrested the night before on heroin charges.
Says the defendant did knowingly have in his possession a clear liquid in a syringe, which he admitted was heroin.
On this morning, as on most, 1 in 4 cases on the docket is directly connected to heroin. They come from wealthy neighborhoods and poor.
She had syringes in her vagina that she did not disclose.
They are young and old, parents and grandparents, sons and daughters. Sometimes they are brought here hours after they almost died from an overdose. Sometimes they don't make it to court. Heroin and other opiates kill 1 American every 16 minutes. That's more than die in traffic crashes.
Cincinnati 911, what is the address of your emergency?
4980 Glenway Avenue, the Covedale Library. My children's librarian is asking for Narcan. She thinks that he may be overdosing.
Hello?
Hello, Cincinnati 911.
Yes, please, sir. My brother and his friend overdosed.
Where's it
in my
at?
car. I'm by the rapid room part. Oh my God!
Are they breathing?
But what if they're blue?
I just walked in because my buddy ain't been answering the phone, and I believe he's OD'd, and I think he's dead.
Okay, can you tell me for sure if he has a pulse or a heartbeat?
He's ice fucking cold.
I got a phone call. She was all upset. I couldn't understand her. And I said, I think she's telling me my baby's dead. No, it's not real. No, I don't know. It feels like your soul leaves your body. It felt like somebody just blasted me in the chest with a shotgun. That's what it really felt like. I guess they see it so much, they just look at it like, well, there's another dumbass, whatever. That corner said, I deal with this every day. And that company, well, we deal with this every day. I said, yeah, well, I don't deal with this every day. I don't got to deal with every day and bury my child. Every day my child's dead. I don't deal with that every day. Well, how would you feel if you went home your child was dead? They didn't let me see him, so I didn't believe it. I said, nah, it ain't time. He hadn't been using, he's been clean for a year. He said, Mommy, look, I promise you, Mommy, I will never do heroin again. He said, Mom, that stuff they got of her today, he said, it's not heroin. He said, it's intentionally made to kill you. So what happened that made him want to do a shot of heroin again?
By the end of the night, at least 20 people in Greater Cincinnati have overdosed. 4 have died. In the early morning, Covington police raid a house for drugs and guns. It's a constant battle to keep up as demand for heroin rises. Heroin is big business, and cartels from Mexico want to cash in. They flood markets like Greater Cincinnati with drugs and rely on street dealers to find customers. Police go after those dealers, but if one goes down, another is always ready to step in.
There's an overdose right here by the church.
You see a needle, ma'am? Why do you think it's OD?
That's usually what it is nowadays when you see somebody laid in the alley. Like, this is what it is, ma'am.
Heroin isn't just a big city problem. Small towns across Ohio and Kentucky have been devastated by the drug.
You know, and when we started this ministry, we were so excited about just being able to do what God wants us to do. We didn't realize the magnitude of what we were faced with.
Daryl Breeden created Firehouse Ministries to do something about it. His church welcomes all. including anyone seeking help with addiction.
And when I hear them talk, it's like it's a demon that's got them, you know, that it's something inside of them that's really evil, that's forcing them to do what they're doing. And a lot of these kids, you know, are faced with that same choice, and maybe sooner than later with the way things are. The kids that we help and that we minister to, there's not one of those kids that are not affected by the addiction problem. And heroin seems to be the greatest controlling factor. Somebody in their family is directly connected with the drug culture, and these kids are faced with that. And I've also seen some families where not only the parents are using, but they're using with their kids. And that is a really risky place for all of them to be. And I know for a lot of their lives that just seems like a normal thing, that, you know, my parent is using, my siblings are using, and it's an atmosphere that just creates a whole lot more trouble for them when they think that kind of lifestyle is normal.
Father, we just want to thank you for the blessings that you give us. We want to thank you for this day, and Father, for these kids that come out. And I just pray that you'd protect them and keep them safe. Draw them close to you and let them experience your love and your mercy. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
By the end of the day, at least 38 people have overdosed for the week. 6 have died. As heroin addiction progresses, people can lose careers, family support, even their homes. Some end up here, under the city's interstates.
When I started to hit the homeless camps pretty regularly, it was a lot of alcoholics and mentally ill individuals that weren't being medicated properly. Now it's mostly heroin.
It's Officer Tim Epstein's job to clear out these homeless camps, but he also tries to help.
These people are in a tough spot in their lives. Nobody really recognizes their rock bottom until it's pointed out to them. The goal isn't to take them to jail. The goal is to connect them to services. But sometimes I'll have to take people to jail. Each time you get evicted and have to change something, it's an opportunity to make the decision to make the big change, to actually get off the heroin or the other drugs that you're on.
Kim Hill is preparing to see the son she lost Monday to a heroin overdose. Tom had been drug-free for about a year before relapsing. His friends found him in his apartment, a needle in his arm.
Just to see your child looking like that, and that had been doing good so long. I remember just laying on his chest and asking him, "Why did you do this? Why? Why would you do this, Tom?" And I just laid there on him and kissing him, and I didn't want to let him go, and I didn't care how he looked. I just wanted to bring him home.
Crime labs like this one in Cold Spring are scrambling to keep up with demand. Evidence in every drug case ends up in a place like this, where it's tested, measured, analyzed.
You know, if they're really, really into it, this might not be enough for them for the day.
Heroin isn't the only problem. Synthetic opiates such as fentanyl and carfentanil are increasingly common and increasingly deadly. Just a few crumbs are enough to kill. The idyllic suburb of Fort Thomas has had its share of heroin problems.
44, 43, I'll be out.
And the highways bring even more people with addiction through. Police created the heroin interdiction team after the drug was blamed for several deadly crashes in northern Kentucky.
He uses that dollar bill to store.
He's high now, so he's going to be alone. Why were you driving the car?
Drug driving is more common now than drunken driving. The right help can be hard to find for those addicted to heroin. Treatment centers fill up quickly, and programs that work for some addictions don't work well for heroin. The Campbell County Jail has a new approach. Women here get evidence-based treatment. They get medication when they leave jail. But that's not where it ends. For 2 years, they get health checks, job training, and housing assistance. Katara Jarvis deliberately got arrested so she could get treatment.
I completely shut down from everything, from my higher powers, from my sisters, from my program, everything. I'm determined. I want this more than anything in the world, and I don't want to die today.
Cincinnati 911, what is the address of your emergency?
No, I'm in the parking lot of school, but it's like emergency. I think he overdosed. I don't know what he took.
I can remember waking up from being revived, and it was just literally like a fog of a dozen people standing around me. I had no idea who was who, and it was terrifying because it's almost like you're laying in a casket.
It took Amy Parker years to learn how to live without heroin. She relapsed more times than she can remember and alienated family and friends.
As long as a person is still alive, there is hope that they can get through this.
But she did it. She got treatment, including medicine. Now she's a peer counselor, helping people who are where she used to be, walking the line between sobriety and relapse.
I'm in a dream. Is it real? And when I look around at my beautiful home in a safe neighborhood with my husband and my kids, it's amazing.
By the end of the day, at least 63 people have overdosed for the week. 9 have died.
Well, we're at 9 Mile and 52.
Claremont County Sheriff's deputies are targeting heroin users on US 52. Pill mills along this route used to give drug users easy access to prescription painkillers. Now, those drug users come looking for heroin.
Since the heroin problem has just been the area that we've really had to target, and it just doesn't seem to be going away.
If you were at a beach, you put your fingers down to pinch some sand, and that's literally the amount of heroin that typically a user would purchase.
They'll shove that stuff down in their sock. They'll put it in a real small balloon, shove it in their cheek, bottom of their shoe, underneath their pad of their foot.
You know, it's true of finding a needle in a haystack.
And also court suspension for OVI. Is your radio secure?
When deputies pull over this 23-year-old man, they find drug paraphernalia in the car. The man admits he uses heroin. He says he believes he's safe because he snorts heroin rather than injecting.
I just think that it's a lot safer than just sticking a needle in my arm.
So you're not doing it every day?
Yeah, sometimes yes.
Sometimes yes?
I don't know if that makes sense, but other times no.
When babies are born to mothers addicted to heroin, they can suffer tremors, seizures, and other withdrawal symptoms. Children's Hospital treats those babies and works with parents to keep them healthy.
Still need a little bit of holding on, but you're getting there. There you go. Yay! I'm going to turn you on your belly and see what you can do. But you gotta let go.
Eliana. Her name means gift from God.
Stephanie Gaffney says she used heroin for years until she learned she was pregnant with Eliana. She lives with her baby at a Cincinnati treatment center.
She gives me something a little bit more worth fighting for. I had a rough and complicated childhood. I don't want her to have to go through any of that I did. I want her to have her parents being consistent in her life.
She looks excellent. You started out so little and you're so big now. Yes, you are.
I don't know how possible it is, but I would like to have as normal family as addicts can have.
10 days after this visit, Stephanie Gaffney overdosed and died. Eliana is now living with Stephanie's parents.
No one wakes up one day and says, this is what I want to do. We don't see them as what most people would see them as, which is prostitutes.
Scarlett Hudson calls them her girls, and these women call her Mama.
Yeah, so she'll be on the street tonight.
Through her Women of Alabaster Ministries, they can drop in for a meal, clothing, or health checks.
We look at them like they have been broken, they're hurt. We don't believe at all that it's a choice that they would make had they had a good choice to make. This is one way that they know that they can feed that addiction. They've resorted to this. We see them through the eyes of Christ. That's how we see them. We thank you for the days when the girls say they're done, when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, Lord.
Hey baby, are you hungry? You want to go with me? I'm going up to the building. Hi. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good.
We know that if we keep doing what we've been called to do, that more and more of them will find their way out, and more of them will live.
There's going to come a day when it's going to be your day and you're going to come in and say, I'm ready, right?
Yeah. They have aspirations and have had aspirations. We just got to find that person again. So when we look at them for what they can be one day, not what they are at the moment.
I'm currently at Burger King on Glenway, and there's somebody passed out in the women's bathroom.
Are they sure that it's a drug?
Ma'am, they're passed out. They was face down. Yes, the needle is right by her.
Most companies won't hire someone who's struggling with heroin addiction. Warsaw, Kentucky's largest employer, Dorman Products, takes a different approach.
We got 2 new people here. Who are you on? What's your thing? How long you been clean?
I've been struggling with heroin for the better part of the last 7 years.
Workers meet weekly on company time to talk about their struggles or the struggles of family members.
I've got 4 kids. Both my sons are addicts, and they have put me through hell and then some several times. A lot of people just want to look at you and say, there's nothing you can do, just, give it to God and forget about it. Well, that sounds good, but it doesn't work that way, especially when it's your kid. Most of the time, it's an escape. You're hunting for the parts and you don't really have a lot of time to think. That's the hardest part, is putting your game face on and trying to pretend like you're okay. In here, I don't have to do that. A lot of the guys that were in here will come up to me on the floor and ask me, how are your boys doing? Have you heard from Josh yet? And that means a lot, because a lot of people, they don't get it. My last job at one of the cashiers, she was talking about heroin addicts one day, and she made a very nasty reference, and I was like, I'm going to stop you right there. I have 2 sons, they're both heroin addicts. You're entitled to your opinion, but I cannot sit here and listen to you say nasty things that they all should die and all of that. I pray that you're never in my situation, because only then are you going to understand it. And I don't want you to learn that way. Every single addict out there is somebody's child.
By the end of the night, at least 123 people have overdosed for the week. 13 have died.
We have a woman overdosed in our public restrooms.
Overdoses happen everywhere. This one is in the restroom at Findlay Market. Someone finds a 35-year-old woman in a blue tank top and yoga pants sprawled on the floor. A syringe loaded with heroin is at her side. The life-saving drug Narcan reverses the effects of heroin. A worker at the market has it in her purse and uses it to revive the woman. Usually it's the police or paramedics who have to administer Narcan. This man passed out while sitting on a bench at Pyatt Park. A bike cop spotted him and called for paramedics. Now, the cop is shooting naloxone into the man's nostrils.
There you go. If you can hear me, I want you to squeeze my hand.
Wake up, baby.
Get up.
This is my baby
Get up, here, man. Narcan always doesn't work for a long time, depending what they have.
When paramedics show up, they insert an IV and give him another naloxone dose.
As you relax, buddy.
This time, the man rouses.
It's okay, buddy.
Relax, you're good, okay? Just lay still.
When he comes to, the medics tell him he should go to a hospital, or at least sit and drink some water. Instead, a friend helps him to his feet, and they walk away. By the end of the day, at least 123 people have overdosed for the week. 13 have died.
I think the guy OD'd on heroin. I think the guy's dead.
Scary moments for a family driving southbound on I-75 near the Western Hills Viaduct. That's where Cincinnati police arrest a man for OVI on heroin after a crash.
Heroin users cause crashes all the time. Sometimes they shut down a major interstate. When this driver and passenger overdosed while headed south on I-75, paramedics saved their lives. Police charged the driver with driving while on heroin. More people died from overdoses in Butler County this week than in any other greater Cincinnati county. Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones won't let his deputies carry Narcan.
I'm a very compassionate person. I see more than they do. I cry a lot inside.
Jones is the only sheriff in Southwest Ohio whose department doesn't use it. His decision sparked a protest from those who say saving lives is what matters most, and a counter-protest from those who say heroin users shouldn't get free treatment, even to save their lives.
Kids are born in my jail. 3 babies born in 18 months, born addicted. 12 pregnant ladies in my jail and have 35 babies. One of them has 7. They don't have any of them. Children's Services has them. Narcan isn't the issue. The issue is the people that are dying and are doing these drugs, and our politicians and our government does nothing. But I'm not apologizing for my stance, not even this much, and nor will I.
Jay, get me.
Brianna and Jackson are so freaking happy. They are the happiest kids. I don't understand how they can be so happy. I guess that's part of being a kid, right? You're always really happy.
Maureen Sherub's front yard is a playground for her grandchildren. Brianna is 9 and Jackson is 4. Their mom, Natalie Bauer, overdosed and died in January. Maureen is raising Brianna, and her sister is raising Jackson. They consider themselves lucky to be able to care for the children. Kids of heroin users often end up in foster homes.
It is scary, raising a child without the parent. You don't know what to do.
We have to almost smother them with love so that they understand that they're part of a family.
They do understand that it was an accident.
That you didn't leave them on purpose.
People say it'll get better. It doesn't go away. It doesn't get better. I want Natalie back. There's nothing more in this world that I want. But I can't have her.
About 10 minutes, Jackson. I'm going to read a book, all right?
Last night she was crying. I want mommy. I feel like my life is over. What does that mean when a 9-year-old says, I feel like my life is over?
Can you say something? Please do it.
Brianna was saying last night, why did this have to happen to me? This is so unfair. I said, you're right, it is unfair. I don't know why this had to happen to you. They have to be so brave. If it took her life to bring theirs, then that's what her destiny was. Her life was worthwhile.
By the end of the night, at least 154 people have overdosed for the week. 13 have died.
It's a neighbor, Joyce. They just came in running outside to get us. And
Are they breathing?
No, she's not breathing, hon. Her name's Gracie. That's all I know. But my friend has 2 shots of Narcan they're about to give her now. We got to get her on the floor. Come on, guys. She's dead. She's purple.
Gracie! Wake up, Gracie. Gracie! Gracie!
We're going to give her another one.
Yeah, let's give her another. Either she got a new dealer,
her new dealer hosed her, or she's been off for a while and jumped back into the game.
Gracie. Gracie. There we go. Gracie. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. Get an IV in your arm, okay?
Gracie, you overdosed, okay? Watch your step. Big step here. Okay. Well, then somebody gave you some heroin while you were sleeping.
No, I didn't.
Have a seat right there for us, okay? We don't need her. But she wasn't breathing, so she really
I was just drinking.
If the heroin epidemic is a battle, as many in law enforcement now see it, local jails are the overwhelmed field hospitals, the MASH units where the casualties just keep coming.
The city's seen a big spike in heroin OVIs. From what I understand is they've had more heroin-related OVIs than they have alcohol-related OVIs lately. And they're easier to convict, too, because most of the time they catch them either with a needle in their arm or they give them Narcan to bring them back. And the only thing that Narcan works on is opiates, so you can't really hide that.
I dedicated every day to the rush of getting high. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It's a trend, I guess. Once you're in the system, it's really hard to get out. So I've been found OD and dead about 7 or 8 separate times other than the time, so, I probably have 20 odd ODs, you know. I should, by all accounts, probably be dead.
More than 200 inmates at the Hamilton County Justice Center are admitted heroin users. Jail officials believe the actual number is much larger. Heroin users typically don't stay here long. They get patched up and booked, but the jail is crowded. If they've committed no other crime, they are often released within days or hours. Many return again and again.
Thank you for stressing me out and making this harder. I'm not asking you to pay $6,000. I'm just asking you to be there for me.
Lizzie Hamlin's son, Scotty, has been missing for days. His friend, Tom Tom, died from a heroin overdose Monday.
It's an empty room.
Scotty disappeared after that. His mom is sure he's using again. Lizzie came home from work just minutes ago and could tell that he had returned to the apartment. He left with some of his things. She suspects he will sell them and use the money to buy heroin.
This is my room. I keep it locked. I keep my purse and my personal things in there. When Scotty's using, he tends to take things. Leather jackets, brand new pants, trade them in, get money, and get high. We had our up and downs, but we had a lot of good times. Respondent has track marks, has been making up to 5 trips a day to purchase. He's going to Cincinnati 5 times a day for drugs and sometimes cannot make it through the night without using, and he couldn't. Approximately 3 weeks ago, respondent was admitted to St. Edgewood Hospital voluntarily and reported feeling hopeless, helpless, and thoughts of suicide. The results in a 3-day stay was unable to stay sober longer than 6 days before relapsing.
Lizzie is going to Tom Tom's funeral tomorrow to support his mom, Kim Hill. But she'll also be thinking of her own son.
See, Kim's going through the process of where she's having to plan this funeral. Me, I imagine in my mind, what would I put Scotty in? What kind of shirt would he want? What kind of hat would he want? What shoes? I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of it. If I could lock him to a bed with the chain, and I would. Scott, he just texted me back and said, love you too.
By the end of the week, at least 180 people have overdosed. 18 have died. This is normal now. This is a typical week.
We're here to pay our respects to Tom Tom. He had a big heart, and he was all about family. Tom Tom was here today, and he could say anything he wanted to us. He would say to those of you that are using heroin, please don't let his death be in vain.